Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Under the Covers. I am your host, Jett. This is Nick.
Hello.
And this is episode 16.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. 16.
Just doing some quick math of like, is it? Yeah.
So what we do is...
Here we go.
Now I'm sweating.
Now you're sweating? All right, tell us what we do.
Okay, so Under the Covers, our music podcasts where we pick songs that we love and that have influenced our youth, or even up to now. We're still young. It's funny, whatever.
Going deeper than I thought we would, but this is I love this explanation.
Okay.
Keep it going.
Yep. And then we do an interview about the song, what it means to us, talk about it between each other, and then we play the song for the next half. And I'll sing it, he plays guitar.
It's better than the other way around, trust me. This is going to be a real nightmare if I start singing. We'll lose both of our followers. Just kidding. It's just a self-burn for fun.
Cute. And so Nick picked the song for episode 16.
I sure did.
And would you like to tell us about it?
You know, it's funny because I chose to do this song for this episode, but you introduced me to this song not that long ago. Which is funny because we're like, what, that influenced our youth. I was like, I learned about this song 2 months ago. I've never heard it before that.
But it's such a good song.
It is a good song. And the context of how you introduced me to it wasn't necessarily, hey, check this out. This is cool. It was immediately like, hey, listen to this. I think this other band ripped this off and got super famous. And I listened to it. I said, those are pretty close to each other.
They're identical. One's just played quicker than the other.
Yeah. I mean, there is maybe like a little subtle difference, but it's that subtle difference. Like, I don't know if you ever remember Vanilla Ice explaining how his riff was different than Bowie's because of like one note where it's like a lead in. It's like, well, he's like do 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 do, and I go do 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 do. I'm like, that's not different, dude.
Bro.
That is not different.
Bro.
I'm not saying anything. Please don't, come show up. And
We're just
ruin me.
saying.
Yeah, but yes, extremely similar. And when you brought this song up and we listened to it, I said, yeah, those are...
I was like, who else's guitar line is this? You know this song.
Those are unnaturally close to each other. But it did... I thought it was interesting to explore that and maybe talk about it in an episode because it brought this idea forward of how it's pretty normal for people to say, oh, everything's stolen, there's nothing new. Like, okay, I get that. There is and there isn't, like, whatever. But, sometimes bands have these, what we call in comedy, like a parallel thought where two separate people can come up with the same bits because of just, what's happening in the world and what's happening in media and social and how comedy brain works. And you kind of, if you go down the same road, you end up at the same destination. And then somebody sort of gets out of the way of like, oh, okay, like that's not me, that's yours, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. And it feels like the same thing can happen in music where sometimes bands, they don't necessarily write exactly the same thing, but in the time that they're in and the style that they're in and what's happening to music in general and how people's approaches can sometimes be similar or even working the same way. Sometimes you arrive at places that are really close. And
yeah, like the grunge scene, like hip hop.
Sure.
Like everything kind of meshes.
Well, even specifically for me, I always thought this, that in 1992, 2 albums came out. One was Helmet's In the Meantime, and then the other was Pantera's Vulgar Display of Power. Both fantastic albums, and I strongly doubt they ripped each other off. I don't think that at all. But there are 2 songs on there, Helmet, Unsung, which is a very famous song and fantastic. I would love to play that song, honestly. Like, not maybe here, but even in Stick the Landing, I think that would be fun.
Yeah. That's our band. Stick the Landing.
Unsung is a great song, and it has a very distinctive riff. And then also on the Pantera album, they do a song that's one of their B-sides. It's not as well known, called Rise, and Rise also has a groove and a riff that's almost identical, and
Wow.
it's just that they landed in the same place. No one was necessarily stealing from each other. It just kind of worked out that way. I don't think they even had time to steal from each other, to hear one band and then record your own album and put that out. It's like,
At the same time,
no,
yeah.
I don't buy that. It just happens that way. And sometimes those things happen.
However.
However, we don't think that's what happened here.
No, there's about a 7-year difference between the release of each of these songs.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the one that came out in the 80s, I listened to it, and I kind of knew who the band was. I didn't know them really well, but I only knew this band because Metallica famously covered them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep. Actually, when you introduced me to the song, I was like, oh, Metallica covered them. And I played the Metallica cover, and you're like, oh. And we listened to both of those.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I knew them they're in this like new wave of British heavy metal kind of, style of music. Okay, I know who they are. And then you played me this song, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. And then you're like, yeah, but listen to this riff. Now listen to this. And I was like, oh, I definitely know this. And yeah, those are really close. Mm-hmm. And you were like, they took this. And it was funny because it felt like we were sort of discovering that and making that connection for this first time. It was the first time, either you or I had really heard of that or looked at it. And then when we do our cursory research online, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, that's definitely like a lawsuit thing. Like it's been explored.
Yep.
I don't think it ended up going anywhere. I think it ended up getting dropped just because like band A like couldn't pursue band B for like just
Whatever
weren't in a
reason.
position to chase it down.
Yeah.
But for sure, these are real close. And I thought it'd be interesting to explore that in the show of like, you know what? Let's play both of them, because let's play song A, fantastic song from the 80s. And then all you have to do is just slow that down and add a chorus effect, and you have song B, which is a smash hit in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because we've been on sort of a roll of doing songs from the 80s and getting the vibe of that decade through different genres of music. We did a couple of different types of bands and got that stuff. But I'm not a big fan of the band that does the B song, like the one that got, stolen. I'm not going to say it's stolen or not stolen. Mm-hmm. We'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know because that singer is gone.
Yep.
I was never really a big fan of them. I don't like them. It's just not for me. But I do recognize that they were really the voice of the decade when it comes down to it. Like I'll respect that. And it was funny because playing that, I was getting like a little, not like emotional, but I was kind of getting the nostalgic feels of like, man, like I really remember when this came out and, what we were all doing and just, the time that I was having with my friends. My friends all loved this band. Like, you couldn't escape it.
Yeah.
It was so
right.
huge. And maybe some of that was kind of like what we talked about when we were talking about how I later in life came to appreciate Soundgarden and Pearl Jam. Like at the time I was like, I hate it, man. They're shutting the lights off on Skid Row. But now I'm like, yeah, like all these bands are really great.
Every dog has its day.
So I'm sure that element had a little bit to do with my initial like, hey, I don't like this band at all.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And it didn't help that the singer, like every interview I'd read with him, I'm like, man, I don't really like.
I don't like
your
you too,
attitude.
dude.
It is not cool.
I was in college. I just got into college when that album came out.
Oh yeah.
It was a big thing in the dorm.
Oh, it was enormous.
A big thing. We had a cassette.
Yeah, when I was reading about it, it even took the record company by surprise because they had an album before this on an indie label. They got signed to a large label. They put this album together and they were going to put it, and they had this whole plan of, hey, we're going to release this as a single and then this as a single and then we'll probably see some steady growth. And I think the last album sold, I don't know, 500,000. Maybe we can bump that up to 1 million.
You won't have to wait long.
They could not print this fast enough. It immediately sold out all over the Northwest where they're from. And then it just went from there, and they went off. It was wild. Did you? I sometimes we talk about producers and production and the influence a producer can have on a sound. Did you know that the guy who I think mastered this, either in mix, I think he mastered it.
Oh wait, yeah.
No, it's probably not what you think.
Okay.
The guy who mastered this, they chose him because the record label was like, "Hey, here's a list of people that we'd say probably are good to master this record," and they're like, "No, all those guys are corporate fat cats. We want the guy that finished Rain in Blood, like by Slayer." Or maybe he did like Seasons in the Abyss or something. Like he was a Slayer guy. And they're like, "We'll take him." And that's who they got and that's who they used.
Awesome.
Yeah, Andy Wallace. Yeah.
Okay.
Wild.
That's cool.
Because this album sounds nothing like that. So
Andy's
interesting
like,
choice.
All right, I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. So it was
cool
neat to learn about that stuff. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the band, but I respect what they did and how they kind of really brought back, or not brought back, they really transitioned us away from the glam excess, hey, I'm here for boobs and drugs kind of sound of the 80s and moved us into this singer-songwriter, emotionally vulnerable kind of sound. Like,
Yeah, grunge is super
okay,
emo.
I get it. Like, I'm okay with it.
Super emo.
I appreciate it, and that obviously led to other styles of music that I really do enjoy and really love. So, okay, it's fine. And then, one of the members of this band is probably in the biggest band in the world right now. Well, he went on. Band number 2 is probably the biggest and best out there.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's amazing
They
that
are.
he did that twice.
I know.
It's so weird.
He's so great.
Yeah, he's
so great.
fantastic. It feels like we could just spend an episode just talking about him. Yeah. Yeah. Wild.
He's the reason I know what a Neve board is.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
I think I still have that DVD.
For sure.
It's really good.
So tell me about the band that you first brought of like, hey, this is the original song. Tell me about your relationship with them, because obviously you knew them much better than I did. My only lens was, oh, this is the band Metallica likes. But what was your lens of that band?
Like, I'm not like a super fan, but definitely it's such a cool vibe. And if anyone knows Ministry, they kind of came out around the same time. And Ministry, before they got really hard, had kind of a dreamy gothic catalog. And these guys also have some heavy tracks, but they also do like the dreamy gothic too, which I really liked. And his voice is just really cool. And so there's this 80s station that I listen to at work on Sirius XM.
Yep.
I think they kind of like, they do a good job of some deep cuts, but like when it comes to like Social Distortion, they only play Ball and Chain. I'm like, bro, that catalog is so vast. Come on. Deep cut these guys.
Yeah.
But anyway, these guys, they play a couple of theirs back to back sometimes. And because it's an 80s station, they play this song a lot. And so...
They play this song a lot? Mm-hmm. Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's an 80s station.
That's cool.
So it makes sense. But yeah, like this is almost like the station's song.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
It's funny that you mentioned Ministry there, because my relationship with Ministry is a lot like this band of I don't really know them aside from bands that I like, point to them, or occasionally cover them. So that's kind of my only interaction with them. Famously, I went to a Primus show, and Primus covered Thieves by Ministry.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
With like Les just doing that like carnival barker voice. It's like Thieves! It was amazing, and that was my only like, oh, okay, that's Ministry. Okay, got it. And then I went and just listened to that song. I was like, okay, now I get sort of like how these are.
It's so heavy.
Yeah, oh, it's so heavy. So, but this band is kind of the same thing of like, oh, Metallica did this on their Garage Days EP. Okay, let me go back and look. Oh, okay. Well, now I see where this is. Got it. But yeah, playing this song when we figured it out and put it together, just like the last episode, it had this vibe that was just super catchy. We're just having fun with it. It was super
It's
upbeat.
a bouncer.
Yeah. And then halfway through, we just say, you know what? let's just slow it down.
Yeah, and then we fit in song B.
Yeah. And then now this is a totally different song playing the same exact thing. It was really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, for people who are not musicians, I said a little bit earlier that you just add a little bit of chorus to the guitar and that's what you get. Chorus is effect, like if you hear anything that sounds, if you just describe it as, oh, it's guitar, but it sounds like it's underwater, it has this kind of, warbly thing, that's chorus. Mm-hmm. That's what we did.
Yeah.
Just slow it down, add chorus.
Welcome
to your new song.
Nailed the tone.
Yep. And then we bring it back.
Yeah. And so I've got a side pony for one of them. And then to kind of mimic the look of the other band, I take my hair down.
Yep. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting visual cue.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go from one to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Not just adding a guitar effect. Let's visually go from one to the other. Yeah. That was fun to find in the moment.
You'll know.
Yeah, you'll see it.
It was a good suggestion. Yeah,
You'll see it.
It was super fun.
It was really fun.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. You go introduce the band.
So
Both of them.
Both bands. We discovered that when you listen to the song 80s by Killing Joke, if you slow it down, add a different effect, you also get Come As You Are by Nirvana. We're going to do them both.
Oh, 80s. I'm living in the 80s. 80s. I have to push, I have to struggle. Oh, 80s. Get out of my way, I'm not for sale no more. 80s. Let's kamikaze till we get there. And we sing. We do it this way. Come as you are, as you were, as I want you to be, as a friend, as a friend, as a known enemy. Take your time, hurry up, the choice is yours, don't be late. As a friend, as a friend, as a known memory. Yeah. Memory. Yeah. Oh, 80s. By day we run, by night we dance, we do. 80s. I'm in love with the coming rays. 80s. I've got the best, I'll take all I can get. 80s, I'm living for the 80s. Oi, 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 oi. And we sing. You do it this way.
Thank you for watching this episode of Under the Covers. Please like, share, subscribe, and don't be afraid to get into our comments. New episodes drop the 1st and 15th of every month, so please keep coming back for more. If you're interested in bonus episodes, blooper reels, what else? Extras. That's pretty broad. Extras. Reaction videos. Yeah, we do a lot of those. We have a Patreon channel that has all of those things. It's really great. It's patreon.com/UTC Music Podcast. It's the same place you can find us at Instagram and Facebook. So look for us everywhere, UTC Music Podcast, and thank you for watching. I like stumbling over words.